Hey yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is David Hanlon, aka the Laptop Legend, and today, day trading stocks, I made $6,998. Yesterday was pretty similar, like $6,950 or something like that. And it's been a pretty great week all in all, and most of this is due to one stock. That stock is TCEHY. And the reason this stock is so nice is because number one, it is an OTC stock, and I am so much better at OTC than listed. Number two, it's extremely liquid. And number three, the level 2 is fairly easy to read. Fairly easy to read if you are good at reading level 2. So this stock will really test your level 2 OTC skills, but once you get good at it, you can literally scalp it all day long. That's what I've been doing, and it's been pretty amazing. So I want to talk about some of the tactics I use to read level 2. I was actually talking about one of those today in the Discord, but then I forgot to finish it, so I'm gonna finish that here in this video so you guys can reference it later. And yeah, I mean that's pretty much the main thing I've been doing, guys. We had some nice breaking news plays. I'll talk about that, and we got some charts pending for a breakout. We got some of those, pending mergers, reverse merger, all those, custodianships that are coming into September. So I want to talk about those a little bit. And yeah, should be a good time. So definitely leave a thumbs up if you enjoy the video. Maybe drop a comment if you like it. And yeah, that's it. Let's on my laptop. All right, guys, so I'm here on my laptop, and this is the chart for ATRX. And I just want to explain why this is pretty much the ideal setup and what I look for in terms of breaking news plays. Now, this had news today before the market actually opened, so this wasn't like a midday breaking news play, but this was the absolute perfect setup. So you can see this chart is, not too much volume overall, like I would say very low volume in fact. And the one time it did spike up a ton was when it had this press release on the 7th here saying that they signed a letter of intent with yada yada pharmaceuticals to acquire a new class of drug for Parkinson's disease. So a letter of intent is like, we're gonna do something, but it hasn't actually been done yet. And you can see right here, again, that's the 7th. This is the 7th right here, 6/7, June 7th. It spiked up massively on that news from 6 cents all the way up to 29 cents. So when I see a ticker that does something like this, that spikes up this big on news, I put in my watch list and I start keeping track of it. And it starts fading back off. This is what always happens, right? People buy it, they turn into bag holders, and it just fades back off until the next time news comes out. Now, in this case, we got the news, at, I guess, 9 a.m. that they signed the definitive agreement with them. So instead of just the letter of intent, now the license agreement is official. It actually happened. So what do you think the chart looks like today? Boom! Tons of volume, epic breakout, ripped through those levels. And, this is the type of stock that you really want to be in early. Now, I saw this news in pre-market and I was trying to buy it. I guess, right as the market was opening, I put limit orders in and I didn't put them high enough, The bid and ask, I don't even know what it was. Like the bid may have been at like 8.8. So I didn't want to chase a ton in case it somehow failed. And, that was on me. I should have put my limit orders higher because if I gotten filled right out of the gate, that would have been epic. I'm not sure what the price I actually got filled at was, what my first fill was. I'm not sure if I think I first got filled at like 15.5 or something like that. I was trying to buy all up in here, didn't get filled any because there's just so many people buying. But it just went on an absolutely epic run and then did end up having a nice bounce in here. And, this was a nice dip buy down in this area. I mean, that's, what is that, an 80% bounce? I can't do that in my head. Put this little line up here. Okay, that's a 70% bounce, 71% bounce, Show me that on Apple, man. Show me a 71% bounce. So I just love plays like this. And again, the setup that I like to look for is if you see a stock that runs really hard on news and then it fades on down, be waiting for some more news, guys, because it's a really good entry because it's already faded down and then it spikes up huge, A similar thing is LCLP. Like this thing spiked up really hard on news. And then we got that really nice intraday spike right here when they put out the news that the reverse split was canceled. So like when things are up a ton and then fade off a ton, if they put out a catalyst right here, it just explodes, man. Even the first time that this thing ran, like same thing, This was down a ton, really beaten down from these highs here, super beaten down, and then they put out a catalyst and it explodes. So this is like my favorite setup. This is the number one setup to grow a small account because you get really good risk reward and you know, really huge percentage gains. Like you can, if you're patient and you get a great entry, you know, you can get multi 100% returns. I never hold that long. I always lock in my gains a lot sooner than that. But that's just because I'm over PDT and I can afford to do that. So moving on, the stock that I really got to talk about is TCEHY, guys. And you look at this chart and you're probably thinking like, David, why are you so interested in this thing? Like, okay, it kind of just went sideways all day. Yeah, I mean, I guess it had a nice panic here at open, but it's not really doing too much the rest of the day. You know, it's just like, it's just kind of like going sideways. I guess consolidating. And you'd be right, but you'd also be wrong. So I actually was so busy with ATRX this morning and I guess a couple other plays that I really messed up on the short on this. I mean, this was just an absolutely epic fade, and I really messed it up. You know, I could have made a lot more money on this than I actually did. I mean, that is just beautiful. It's really beautiful. So stocks like this, you might not think you can make that much money, but here's the thing, right? There's so much volume in terms of dollar volume that you can pretty much put your entire account on the line every single trade, yet it's slow enough moving that you're not going to take a huge, massive loss by doing that, as long as you cut your losses quickly when it goes against you. And you know, doing that, you know, I'm able to take, for example, my Schwab, you know, it's just under 150,000 now. So I mean, I can take 2,000 short on this stock, and that means that every 10-cent drop, I make $200. So you can see, I mean, if it drops from 63.3 all the way down to 61.3, $2 a share times 2,000 shares, that's $4,000 that I can make on this dip. And that's taking big sides because it's actually predictable, because no one big seller or buyer can come in and change the price rapidly because it's an OTC and it has really slow executions. So because of that, by reading the level 2, you can take really big sides and not get screwed over, so you can actually make pretty decent money by scalping this thing. Like all these dips and like runs, I made money on pretty much all these. And occasionally you'll get screwed on one and you'll give back some profits, but that's just the name of the game. And as long as you keep doing it and you really learn to read the level 2, my goodness, man, it's insane. It's very profitable. So I want to talk about a couple of the things that I look for in the level 2. So again, if you haven't seen that panic dip buy video talking about how I read the level 2 with the stacking ask or the stacking bid, definitely go look into that because it's very important on a stock like this. But just some of the concepts from that, like there's a lot of reserve orders. And if you're new, you probably don't know what that is. Reserve order is basically where they're hiding their size. So they might be showing that they're going to buy 100 shares, but you could sell 5,000 shares to them and they don't go anywhere. So they're really buying who knows how many. Maybe it's 5,000, maybe it's 50,000 shares. Whatever it is, their bid is not going away with just 100 shares. So there's a lot of orders like that on this particular stock. And I mean, a lot of times you'll see, you know, one or two $300, or I guess 300 share bids. Maybe you see 3 100 share bids, and there's just people whacking that bid. You know, they're selling tens of thousands of shares, and it's just not going anywhere. And then it starts going back up. So you got to learn to read it and learn to recognize when it's a reserve order. And these are the types of things that are helpful. But one thing that I want to talk about, that I guess this is the thing that I was mentioning in the Discord today, is when people start stepping over each other on the level 2, that is a really good sign of the direction that the stock is going to go. So for example, you know, if there's a gap in the level 2, you know, call it right here, right? So if you see this gap right here, it creates a spread, and the spread is the difference between the bid and the ask. So if there's a bidder, you know, at 61.9, and there's a seller at 61.95, if the bidders start stepping over each other, you know, suddenly there's a bidder at 61.91, and suddenly there's 2 bidders at 61.91, and there's 3 bidders, and now suddenly there's a bidder at 61.92. You can kind of tell that there's more people who want to buy than there are people who want to sell, because it's kind of like a race to get filled. And eventually, if enough people step over each other, people like me are going to see that, and I'm just going to buy right on the ask. So I'm just going to buy right at 61.95 because I know it's going above there. So if you see bids that are like stacking, the ask isn't moving, and the bid starts like moving up and stacking, and then it moves up again and stacking, that's a pretty good sign that the stock is gonna move up. And if there's that many people who wanna buy, a lot of times you won't be able to get filled by going on the bid because number one, someone else will step over you, or number two, the sellers will know that if they just wait, they're gonna get a better price for their shares. So when you see that, if you wanna be buying and there's people stepping over, a lot of times it's better to just slap the ask, as long as the spread isn't too big. But you know, sometimes if it's going down, you might see a bidder step up, but he immediately gets taken out. Or like a bidder steps up and he eats a few shares, but then he gets taken out. So it's kind of a combination of how many people are stepping up and how, like, are they staying there or are they instantly getting taken out? And it's the same thing on the ask. So like, is the ask moving down? Are there multiple asks stacking at the same price? Are there people buying and taking out those asks? Because like if you see an ask move down from, let's say right here, you know, say the ask moves down, the ask is at 62 here, but it moves down to 61.95. If someone immediately buys that ask, and then every time they try to put another ask there at 61.95, someone just buys it, that's a pretty good sign that the price is going up. So these are just little things that you'll learn to pick up on. And if you can practice this and just watch this stock, I swear, if you just watch this stock for like a whole day, literally a whole day, you will learn so much about OTC level 2. And once you can learn to predict it, man, all you got to do is take, you know, fairly big size for like small predictable moves over and over, and it really adds up. It really adds up because, I mean, this chart, if I zoom out, like you can see, this is like a tiny portion of the chart. Like there's so much range in this thing overall in the last 3 days. But if I zoom in, like this is a tiny portion of that. Like it looks like this. But I mean, there's really a lot of opportunity to make money here. I mean, for me, you know, if I short 2,000 shares at 62.15, right? That's $200, $300, $400, $500, $600, $700. That's almost $800 I can make just in this little dump here. You know, dip buying, same thing. Now, obviously, if you have a smaller account, you can't take quite this big size. And that's just the nature of trading. But you can still make fairly decent gains relative to your account size. So, you know, if you can take, say you have a $60,000 account, you know, you can buy 1,000 shares. That means for every 10 cents, it's $100. Or say you have a $30,000 account, you can buy, you know, pretty much 500 shares. That means you get $5 for every cent, $50 for every 10 cents that it moves. There's still a lot of 10-cent increments here. So like that really adds up. You know, if you have a $30,000 account, all these different moves here, every single time it moves 10 cents, you can make $50. Like you can make a lot of money scalping this thing. And it's honestly fairly predictable. And as long as you admit when you're wrong, you know, if I know that I'm wrong, if I can see that I think it's going down, I'm gonna short it. And then people start buying, the ask gets weaker, I'll just cover. I'll get out. I don't want to risk giving back profits or risk being stubborn because you never know how far it can go. And it's better to cut your loss immediately and not have to worry about it. I'd rather take a $10, $20, $50 paper cut than be cutting for a $5,000 loss because it goes way farther than I think it will. You know, you zoom out. This is some pretty big range, man. If I had 2,000 shares for this whole move, what is that? $14,000? Like, I can't risk having a move like that happen on me. So I would much rather just cut my loss for $40, $50 if I need to, you know, whatever it is, $10. So that's kind of how I've been making a lot of money these past few days, guys. I really like this stock. If you're into OTC, definitely practice with this stock. Definitely worth it. The last thing I want to talk about is NSAV, guys. This breakout is here. I mean, it's here. Yeah, I mean, I'll just you know, put this right here. But I mean, it broke out and it closed like right there. So if I go look at the intraday chart, it rejected a lot of times, but it actually closed over by like 1/100th of a penny, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, 2/100ths of a penny. So this was, the high on this day was 0.697, and today it closed at 0.699. So if this continues, guys, I really think we could see a nice breakout and a nice continued rip for at least a couple more days. Now, there's no guarantee, obviously. You know, you got to have a smart stop loss in case this thing dumps on you, but it's worth looking into because we know that things can grind farther than you think they can. I know that from DPLS, man. Like, this thing it just ended up grinding and grinding and grinding and just going higher and higher and higher. So I think NSAV potentially could do something similar. I really think it could. So it's going to be interesting. I would personally like to buy some and swing it if it can hold over that mark. So we'll see what happens. DPLS also had, you know, a nice little bounce today, nice continued rip, and then just kind of some choppiness later on. Is there anything else? GTII, this is one that I want to talk about. So this is one, I went a little crazy here, guys. I bought 7,500 shares right here, like 250, and I ended up selling a third at 258, a third at 254, and then a third like here on the dump, because it just dumped, like immediately dumped. It was scary. And I ended up chasing on the ask and then losing like all the money that I had made because I ended up cutting and getting scared that it was going to dump even more. And then it didn't. So if you go look at this chart, guys, it's pretty low volume, pretty illiquid, but this thing is like honestly very grindy, but it just likes to go in one direction for a long period of time. And if you look at this chart, like there's honestly a decent amount of range. I'm kind of mad I didn't see this because like this is incredible basing here. Like absolutely incredible basing. This is textbook of what you want to look for in a swing, like buying here and risking. I mean, that is just epic, man. That is such good risk reward on this thing. You know, you can risk, if you buy like 141, you can easily risk 10 cents a share for like $1 a share more of upside. Like that's crazy, man. That's crazy. So areas to be watching are up in here. I don't know if it can break this or if tomorrow's gonna be the first red day, but if this thing starts failing, man, I'm gonna look to short it. But if it keeps running, I'm gonna look to buy that breakout potentially and just ride it, because this thing likes to grind. So if you can take big size and just let it just keep grinding up all day long, it feels very manipulated, but I love sketchy, scammy stocks, man. So this one should be interesting. And you know, I feel like that's pretty much it. I guess the last thing that I want to talk about, I know I keep saying it's the last thing. I probably said it 50 times a video. Last thing I want to talk about is these custodianship plays, guys. So there's a lot of these things that are in the midst of being turned into reverse mergers right now, and they've been taken over by companies that do this, and then they're selling them to other companies that want to go public. So all that is like going to be going crazy in the next couple of months, and a lot of these charts are like pretty insane, man. So like ILST, this thing's just pretty much been grinding up. Just pretty much grinding up, man. OCLG, pretty much same thing. Like, I knew about a lot of these down here, and I didn't take advantage of them, man. And it's really frustrating. It's really frustrating. Like, I could have bought so many of these down here. Like, I really messed this one up. Honestly, I really did. All these, like, there's just so many great ones. ABVH moved up a little bit today as well. All these custodianship plays, guys. Like, it's pretty incredible. So these are the types of things that you want to load up on while you still can. And the main thing is making sure that the chart looks juicy. You know, making sure that the chart is nice. So don't go in too big when they're this overextended, because like you can see, there's not that much support. There's just not. You know, it could easily fall back down 50% from these prices. So I would say, you know, kind of look into doing what I'm doing. This is not financial advice, obviously, but I took starter positions in some of these stocks that I don't want to miss if they run another 200-300% from here. But I also want to be able to add if they dump 50%. So, you know, I took a small starter position to have some shares. What is it? IKTO? Yeah, this is one that actually dumped today, so this was nice to pick up some shares, some extra shares. I bought at least 100,000 more of this down here. So that was nice. But, you know, all of these charts, guys, I think if we fast forward a couple of months, these things are going to be, you know, double, triple what they are now, potentially. Especially by the end of the year once they get the other companies merged into them and all of those stop sign tickers are no longer able to be traded. It's going to be insane. So start looking into that now, just so you guys can be prepared. I put some tickers in the swing trades thread if you guys want to look into that, some that I've already gotten. And yeah, it should be interesting. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm very looking forward to tomorrow. Hopefully I can smash through my record. I guess I've already broken my record for a month, but I'm on the verge of my 100K month, just like $2,500 away. So assuming all goes according to plan, should be nice, guys. So I'm very excited, very grateful to be in this position. Grateful to be able to help all you guys. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, you know the drill. Let's grow better together. Preguntar, bebé, dime por qué te mientes. No puedes esconder todo lo que